You're playing a
favorable,
clip.
all caps. Just confirmed. Okay, I don't know why everything was in all caps. With CENTCOM, we are a go for mission launch. The headset text continues. 12:15 Eastern Time. F-18's launch. All caps. First strike package. 13:45. Trigger-based F-18 first strike window starts. Parentheses. Target terrorist is at his known location, so should be on time. Also, strike drone launch. MQ-9s. MQ-9s are the Reaper drones. And then, and obviously to just make this point, it's like everybody on this chain is getting texts about an attack that hasn't even launched yet. And if this signal chat had been read by an adversary of the United States, I mean, you could use your imagination where that could go. Then the headset text continues, 14:10, meaning 2:10 p.m. Eastern Time. More F-18s launch, second strike package, 14:15, strike drones on target, and then in parentheses, all capital letters. This is when the first bombs will definitely drop.
Oh, my God.
Ending earlier trigger-based targets, 15:36, another 3:36 p.m. Eastern, F-18 second strike starts, also first sea-based Tomahawks launch. In other words, which weapons we're using, what time we're using them, and obviously using standoff weapons or using unmanned aircraft, obviously a different category. I mean, obviously still secret, but a different category than using piloted aircraft. And then at the end of that particular chain, he says, we are currently clean on OPSEC, meaning that's operational security. And of course, I read this, I'm sitting in my car in a Safeway parking lot reading, we are currently clean on OPSEC. And, parentheses, except for the fact that you're mistakenly sending this to the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic.
And in a Safeway parking lot.
In a Safeway parking lot, a grocery run delayed there.
So Nora, in a Safeway parking lot, you seem to be the person that's MAGA, especially the new party, that seems to be the most upset with the Trump administration. So what do you think about Jeff Goldberg being in the group chat with Pete Hegseth with the confidential information?
So first of all, I have the 80-20 rule. I am happy with Trump 80% of the time, but there's 20% that I have to critique him on. I cannot be in this industry, say I'm doing journalism, say I'm doing podcasting, and not being critical. We have people, and I'm not just saying on our podcast, but in general, that worship Trump. And unfortunately, we have to be critical because we are delivering the news. We are the media, okay? That's number one. Number two, I think the Trump administration is doing a phenomenal job, much better than the Biden administration. Let me start with that. But incompetence is incompetent, okay? We can't sit there and be critical of the left and be not critical of the right in the same way. We can't sit there. If this was under Biden, he would have been out, okay? He would have been out. Let me break down what's the definition of war. Let's start with that. A conflict carried on by force of arms as between nations or between parties within a nation, warfare as by land, sea, or air. He named out the planes. He named out the times. He named out the targets in a text message. First of all, I talked to multiple people that work for the military, current and former, and actively working for the government. Everybody has told me the same thing. That was not protocol what he did. That was leaking information. That's not appropriate. I mean, I don't understand why this is a partisan issue and not a bipartisan issue. We should all be in agreement that this was incompetence, okay? The leak of operational detail lands a little differently with military veterans and especially with active duty troops who can be discharged and prosecuted for much lower level leaks. So number one, Pete Hegseth, bro, you got to go. You should not have been talking about this through text message. Number two, the dude that added this journalist, which I don't even believe, I believe these are screenshots. I believe somebody leaked this to him. And why they leaked this to somebody that clearly hates Trump, he needs to go to the Michael Walt person. He needs to go too. So I'm not just saying Pete Hegseth, but the reality is we really need to stop the cap, y'all. I understand y'all are pro-Trump. I understand we're excited that we have a right administration, but we are looking more like the do-nothing Democrats because we are sitting here and doing nothing. This is very performative, and we need to hold people accountable, and that's where I dropped the mic.
Wow, that was a lot to digest. But Enzo, what do you think? Is this a strike against the Trump administration Like, because they said they were going to hire the best people, and then this happened. So, what's your thoughts?
I couldn't have said it better, Nora. I'm in complete agreement with you. I think, in all honesty, I think Hegseth should resign after that. In all honesty, that's something right there where if that got into the wrong hands, a lot of people could be at risk. A lot of lives could be at risk. That's not something you mess around with. That was like, granted, yes, it's against the Houthis and there's really nothing they can do. But like I said, if it got into the wrong hands, like Iran or something like that, those ships and those planes, they could have been taken out easily. So Hegseth absolutely should resign after that. I was never really a big fan of him from the beginning. Like I seen his credentials, but I didn't really see how qualified he was compared to Trump's when he was in office the first time. He had Mad Dog Mathis in there. Nobody that takes that position after Mad Dog, in my eyes, is really qualified. That dude right there is the truth. Hegseth, no way.
Well, yeah, he was in the National Guard, and really he spent most of his time on Fox News. So he was working at Fox News most of the time, or he was in school. So since you guys keep talking about Pete Hegseth, let's see what he said when he was confronted with what was
Your
going on.
information about war plans against the Houthis in Yemen was shared with a journalist in The Atlantic, and were those details classified?
You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again, to include
Of course.
I don't know, the hoaxes of Russia, or the fine people on both sides hoax, or suckers and losers hoax. So this is the guy that peddles in garbage.
So yeah,
It's funny he mentions Russia. He has a Russia email address that came out today too.
Pete Hegseth.
Yeah.
Well, and his response was just like very defensive. It didn't feel like a good response. So, Enzo, you were talking about Pete Hegseth. Do you feel like his response was wrong?
Absolutely. That was like narcissism 101. First thing when you get called a lie is you're going to be defensive about it and call somebody else out. That's exactly what I saw. I'm like, if he would have went about that a different way, I wouldn't be thinking the way that I think about him. Like, why are you just being straight up defensive and saying Russia with this guy? Like, I get it. He is a discredited news journalist at the end of the day. But you could go about it a different way and say that instead of just pointing the finger saying, this guy, let's ask the questions. Why was everybody in that chat and nobody noticed a random number? That's the biggest question to me. I get in the group chats all the time. I'm like, bro, who the fuck put me in this group chat? These are our nation's leaders. Come on now.
Absolutely. Nora, Kaizen, a friend of the show, he was talking about how Pete Hegseth didn't have a good reaction. He was someone that I was shocked because he's super MAGA too, that actually critiqued the administration. So for you, are you with Enzo that Pete Hegseth needs to quit?
I'm not shocked by it, guys. Let me be honest with you. All the honest journalists and all the honest podcasters are calling it out. It's only those that are a part of the Trump cult that don't see a problem with it. It's only those that are actually really part of MAGA cult. Like, you are a part of a cult if you can't question this out. And if you're calling yourself the new media, you should be asking these questions and asking for answers for the American people. I don't see this as a bipartisan issue or a partisan issue. This is something that the American people should be concerned about. And also, the other thing that concerned me is some of the things that they were saying. They were like saying that this benefits Europe, but then 3% of it benefits us because we use the channel. So why the heck would we bomb someone if it only benefits us for 3%? The reality is it benefits one country only, who they minorly glazed over, and we can't question it. So that's, to me, is the biggest problem right now. And I'm not going to say the country's name, but that is where people are really questioning, like, why would we do this if it only benefits us? And if it benefits Europe, like, why are we not asking them for money? Like, there were so many questions with the back and forth that they had.
Well, Pete Hegseth does have a pass. So there were some accusations asked by Congress to people who were close to Pete Hegseth. So here's the video to see what people asked about him.
Before he leaked classified information.
I don't have any knowledge of Secretary Hegseth's personal habits.
Director Radcliffe, same question. Yes or no?
No, I'm going to answer that. I think that's an offensive line of questioning. The answer is no. I find it interesting that you want to. I'm going to answer. You asked me a question. Do you want an answer?
No, listen.
You don't want to focus on the good work that the CIA is doing, that the intelligence community.
Director, I reclaim my time. Director, I reclaim my time. Here, I have huge respect for the CIA, huge respect for our men and women in uniform. But this was a question that's on the top of minds of every American, right? He stood in front of a podium in Europe holding a drink. So of course, we want to know if his performance is compromised. If people were asking if the General Austin was compromised because of a heart issue,
was his performance compromised because of a successful strike?
Back. Mr. I bring my
You want to know? You want to talk about accepting responsibility? Do you think you should accept responsibility for a successful strike to make Americans safer? You want to focus on.
So what was being said was that asking was Pete Hegseth drunk? I don't know if y'all heard that in the beginning. So Pete Hegseth was known for being National Guard and having a drinking problem. Do you guys think Pete Hegseth was drunk? Was he inebriated? Nora, I see you laughing. Do you feel like it's a possibility he could have been drunk and that's what just happened?
No, I think he serves two interests, and I alluded to it in my last answer. I think he wasn't drunk. I think he was doing the bidding for us in another country when they went and bombed Yemen. I think it was just a screw up, but he actually wasn't the screw up. He wasn't the person that added this journalist. It was his counterpart, Mike Waltz, who reports to him. So I don't think it's fair to bring up his drinking past in this. I think he's incompetent, not because of him being an alcoholic. I think he's incompetent because he doesn't know the protocols. He shouldn't have been talking about this through a text message.
Enzo, what are your thoughts? Do you feel like someone's past should be used against them when they get a political job?
I don't think it should be used against them if that's not affecting their job. If it comes out that yes, he was intoxicated while these texts were going on and everything like that, regardless if Michael Walls brought him into the group chat or not, he still should have been a sound mind to know that this person's in here. Because Michael Walls reports to him at the end of the day. He should oversee that. Same thing with JD Vance. I'm putting blame on JD Vance too, because he's the next highest person in that chat. All of them have absolute blame, but I think Pete absolutely still should have to step down because of that, regardless if it has to do drinking or not.
Both of you guys mentioned Michael Waltz. So let's look at a video of him actually taking responsibility and if you guys really feel like he took responsibility.
So they want to focus on this. It's embarrassing, right. Yes. We're going to get to the bottom of it. I just talked to Elon on the way here. We've got the best technical minds looking at how this happened. But I can tell you for 100%, I don't know this guy. I know him by his horrible reputation, and he really is the bottom scum of journalists. And I know him in the sense that he hates the president, but I don't text him. He wasn't on my phone, and we're going to figure out how this happened.
So you don't know what staffer is responsible for this right now?
Well, look, a staffer wasn't responsible, and look, I take full responsibility. I built the group. My job is to make sure everything's coordinated.
But how did the number? I mean, I don't mean to be pedantic here, but how did the number?
Have you ever had somebody's contact that shows their name, and then you have somebody else's number there?
I never make those mistakes.
Right? You got somebody else's number on someone else's contact. So of course I didn't see this loser in the group. It looked like someone else. Now whether he did it deliberately or it happened in some other technical mean is something we're trying to figure out.
So
there's a video of the Atlantic reporter responding to this, and he basically said that the Republican Party, anytime that they get caught in anything or they look bad, they just attack, and this is just another play out of their playbook. Enzo, would you agree or disagree with what the reporter said?
It's gonna be hard to say, but I agree with what he said. Because exactly, I don't think Michael Wallace is sincere whatsoever. One, you're going on Fox. Come on now. They're going to side with you regardless of whatever you say. I don't watch Fox to begin with. Two, he did not sound sincere about it all. And it's real easy to see how that guy got added because it will say, so-and-so added this number. What do you mean you have to have Elon and his team to go through it to see what's really going on? Bro, just scroll to where it is and you'll see the name. They just don't want to admit it. That's the problem. They want to point blame and say this guy, this guy, this guy for no reason when they're wrong. It's disgusting in my eyes, and I'm sick and tired of it.
For sure. So, Nora, do you feel like he took responsibility, or you feel like he was just blame, trying to play the blame game?
Well, another factor that I would like to tell our viewers is that his Venmo friend list was also leaked and it included journalists on it. So for him to say he doesn't know this guy, he has no relation, might be true, but he had journalists on his Venmo list. Now, that's for you to decide. Were they sending him money? Was he sending them money? Sounds kind of fishy to me. I don't know. It sounds like he be leaking stuff and getting paid from journalists. I'm leave it at that. That's what I think it sounds like. But that's for you to think and think too. That's number one. Number two, I don't think he has any remorse. I don't think he's going to learn from his mistake. And President Trump, I really hope you listen to certain MAGA loyalists, even though I don't like her. I agree with her on some things. Laura Loomer called it out and said, you need a clean house. And I'm actually going to agree with Laura Loomer. You need a clean house, starting with Pete Hegseth and Mike Weltz.
So, speaking of money, Snow White 2025 flopped in the box office, and it's being said that MAGA was able to keep them from getting a good showing from people coming out to see it because they didn't like what the main actress who played Snow White said. So here's what Megyn Kelly had to say about it.